He's down one of my generals because I think he's got a lot of promise and I think he's got a great potential to really fill out that side in the club and make strides through the league.
He's finally done it. He's finally beat the allegations. Mykhailo Mudryk, who's finally off the mark for Chelsea and looks every bit worth that one. Not quite, but he's going to get there. We're back with another episode of One Kick from Glory. I'm joined, as always, by Matthew and Craig.
Yeah.
And we're going to be talking about that. We're going to talk about Arsenal, we're going to talk about Man United. There's a lot has happened in the world of football this week. We're going to start off with that main topic on Mykhailo Mudryk, who's finally off the mark, got his first goal in what is now back-to-back victories for Chelsea. Matthew, how are you feeling right now?
I'm feeling great. I'm feeling good. Things have turned around last couple of games. They've obviously got that great victory over Brighton in the Carabao Cup, but we rode our luck. But that Fulham game most recently, that was probably the most comfortable and solid and sure performance we've seen from the Chelsea in a very long time. We took our chances, and I'm just so happy that it was Mudryk. This is why I've wanted him to be playing just getting games and just getting that time to kind of get used to the squad. He's got a lot of players around him to get used to. But it seems as if he's found a bit of a harmony working with Broja and working with likes of Cole Palmer as well, who's very well involved with the goals as well. It was just good to see a very solid performance and for me not to actually panic. You know how good I was feeling about this game? At first, I was watching it on my phone thinking this ain't going to go well. But then when we scored, I'm like, nah, it's going on the TV. Go straight on the TV, watching on a nice big screen. And even in the second half, I felt assured, all right, there weren't many goals coming through, but I was happy that we weathered the storm. And, certain players are starting to prove me wrong, like Cucurella, they're starting to prove me wrong in the position he's playing in. I feel like this is the team now. I feel like this is going to be starting running with. We've got one more winnable game per se in Burnley coming up on the weekend. And after that, international break, I'm in Arsenal. But let's just see what this team can do, I'm really happy with what we saw. It was pretty much flawless performance, and a lot of fans have been asking for just in the mix up in the squad and playing different players. So, you know what? Yeah, very happy in these last couple of games. So keep it going, guys. Keep it going.
Yeah, I mean, just going through your starting 11, you had Sanchez in goal, and your back four of Diassi, Cucurella, Thiago Silva, and Levi Colwill. Midfield three of Enzo Fernandez, Conor Gallagher, Moises Caicedo. Then up front, you had Cole Palmer, Broja, and Mudryk. I know, Matthew, you've been crying out for a striker for the middle and how important that is. I guess for you, Craig, just looking at that 11, how important do you think it is? And as Matthew was saying, this could be the 11 that they build on, but how important do you think it is that Pochettino now has a settled, structured shape to go with?
It needs a settled team because can't be chopping and changing all the time because he's still got a lot of interim players to come back. Got Nkunku to come back. He's gonna have to find a way how to integrate him back into the squad again after the injury. He's still got a lot of players out injured at the moment, so a lot of them might not get into this team straight away if they're doing well and winning matches. So they might have to fight for their place. Every top club has top players have to fight for their place. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But it's looking good so far. But when they play us, it's not going to beat us. So, yeah.
I mean, I think it's a good problem to have. And I guess that the key thing now is just that he builds on it. Obviously, players like Sterling missed out on being in the 11. Mykhailo might argue that he probably should get some more opportunities. But just wanted to focus more on Mudryk. It's been a tough time for him since making that big money move last January. Lots of question marks over whether Chelsea got robbed. Lots of kind of concerns over whether it was a good value for money. Even people looking at Arsenal because we wanted him, and it's what were we seeing? But I guess for you, Matthew, as a final point, how pleased are you to see that the promise that was kind of flickering in the early days is now starting to bear fruit with him?
It's like the start of something good's coming along because we saw flickers of this, in this pre-season, because I think he scored in pre-season, scored a fantastic goal in the pre-season. So we always knew that the potential was there. And I think that was probably more balanced times we had before the injuries started coming through. And then the Premier League came through and they kind of just still figuring and tinkering out with such a young squad as well. So, which him being young himself as well, he's down one of my generals because I think he's got a lot of promise and I think he's got a great potential to really fill out that side in the club and make strides through the league. So the fact that he's got his goal and the fact that he got such a fantastic performance is giving me a lot of hope for, progressing throughout the season. We always said with him was that it's just a case that all right, as much as he does frustrate us, he needs games. He needs a run of games where he's allowed to just continue playing and just find his way and just figure out with what attack works best. We've got a lot of attacking players, even now, like Craig said, still haven't come through due to injury or just lack of chances. You know, when Nkunku comes back, how he's going to play. When Jackson comes back from suspension, how's that going to work? Got Brozier now in as well. You know, seems to link up quite well with there. He plays really well, and Cole Palmer as well in the mix. So there's a lot of talent, a lot of options that we have there. So he's got a lot of players to kind of play off, but he needs to continue playing. I'm not saying he's got to stay on for the full 90 minutes. Lord knows he didn't on Monday. I would have liked him to stay on a little bit longer just to solidify that little bit more to get into Burnley. But the fact that he scored and the fact that he's got a really good performance underneath his bag, I think is going to give him a massive bit of confidence going on into the season. So provided we don't get messed around, he stays fit, this could be where we kick off.
Yeah, I think that's the confidence thing's a big thing, and we know a lot of players that they need that rhythm. Obviously, having Brozier back, having a recognised striker again, is made a big difference as well. And I think it's good that you got the result you need to get in that West London derby compared to last season when you didn't win any of them. I think you were bottom of the West London. You were bottom in London. Anyway, worst team in London by far. So that's a good positive start for the season, I guess. I guess for you, Craig, just as a final point on Chelsea, like how well do you see things kicking on now with their squad?
Well, they're getting the injured players fit now, so I feel like Pochettino is very good manager when it comes to working with young players. He did it at Tottenham, did it at Southampton. He knows how to get the best out of the unknown, hidden gems of the Premier League or over Europe. He knows how to work with a young team. Did well at Tottenham. Didn't win any trophies at Tottenham, but he did well with Harry Kane, young Harry Kane. Did well with Son. Did well with a lot of young players at the club and got them to the elite level. So I think he'll do the same at Chelsea if given time. I know the owners at Chelsea are very trigger happy, and they'll be very happy if things are not working out. You know, Matthew, if things are not working out, he'll be out the door. So I think we'll give him time and see what he can do. Do I think they'll get Champions League this season? I've not yet. I feel like they still got to. If they get Europa League this season, that would be a good start just to get back into European football. But then you have spent over £1 billion in the last transfer or the whole transfer window since Todd Boehly's been appointed your chairman. So are some of the players value for money? Still, time will tell. So
we'll find out, yeah.
So, but you have to take the positives from that and say, well, you got a good young team. Cole Palmer's a good young player coming through. You got players like Mykhailo a good player. Caicedo's going to be a good player for you guys.
He had a great game as well.
Yeah.
Really
Colwell's still going to be a good player for you. That is still a young English talent. Hopefully a future England number starting centre back in the future. So you got some good players coming through. I know you sold a lot of players. Well, you sold Lewis Hall to Newcastle. So, well, I feel like you had to do that to balance the books anyway. So, yeah. It's onwards to see what happens to Chelsea this season.
It's going to be a long old season, and it'll be interesting to see how things play out. Before we go into Arsenal, I just want to talk about Aston Villa Brighton. 6-1 this time away at Aston Villa. Hat-trick for Ollie Watkins. He also got an assist as well for Jacob Ramsey. The thing I want to ask is just for you guys, like start with you, Matthew, and then on to you, Craig. It's like, do you think Brighton have been figured out, or is it just that the last two matches they've played, they just had like a lapse and the other team just exploited some weaknesses?
Well, I mean, who they played Villa and who they played beforehand?
I don't know if it was Fulham or it was. I'll check, but yeah, what do you think about the result?
Well, they're playing team. Well, we're gonna have. Let's assume the other team they're playing is kind of around their vicinity in the table and for the achievements they expect. You know, Villa are very much around them. They're in Europe for the first time in ages. Same for Brighton as well. I think it's the first time. So, I think this is going to be a case of them managing their squad. This is always going to be the case of you're getting into Europe, which is all well and good, but how are you going to maintain it with two different sets of different sets of squads? They've got Europe this week as well, so they're going to be kind of tired from that. Do they have a second string team that's going to be good enough to play in both competitions? We see what happens with West Ham and Leicester, how it was good for them to get into it, but they really did struggle in the league. Granted, they're not struggling yet, but if you're shipping 6 goals in a game, and some other game you're shipping like 2 or 3, you are going to start to worry. Have they been figured out? Only if it happens again. If it happens again and doesn't matter who it is, then we might be a case of there might be a bit of a slight thing in the armour. I mean, we got through them at the Carabao, which, to be honest, I thought would be a much harder game than it was. It was a hard game, but we did it. why a case of where their priorities are going to be, because they're still a very good team regardless, and it's a massive achievement for them to get to Europe. But if this happens again, if they ship 4 in the next 3 games, I'd be worried. If I was a Brighton fan, if I was De Zerbi, I'd be very worried, because they've shipped a lot of people, done a lot of good business. But is that business going to cost them in means of the table and competing in their club competitions? What's it going to be? How are they going to justify that?
Well, I mean, the last game they lost was actually West Ham 3-1. I think there was a comment made by one of the Aston Villa staff to say that they actually learnt from the West Ham game how to exploit them. So this is the first big defeat, but they did get beaten against West Ham when West Ham pretty much had, I think, less than 10% possession overall. But either way, it's a bit concerning that they've been like getting hit on counterattacks, I think, in these kind of results. But I guess for you, Craig, on that note, like, do you think that's something which De Zerbi will need to kind of urgently correct, or do you think it's just like two one-off games that it doesn't really matter too much?
I think De Zerbi is a very good coach, a very good manager, and they replaced Potter with him last season, done an excellent job, got them to the semi-finals of the FA Cup, if I remember correctly. They lost against United, got them into Europe for the first time. They did beat some big teams last season. They beat us as well towards the end of the season.
Beat us twice.
They beat Chelsea twice. They beat Man United at home. Was it home? They beat them all away. I think home or away.
Yeah, I think one of them, yeah.
I think they beat them all, and they beat them this season as well. Am I right? Did they beat them this season?
I think so.
They
got a good win over somebody so far this season.
Yeah, they did. Yeah. They beat Man United a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah,
and Welbeck scored and Groves scored as well.
Yeah.
I remember that game, yeah. So I feel that Brighton are doing well. They've got some good players coming through as well. They've got Fati from Barcelona, very good player. That's down to injuries wise, not at Barcelona right now. They bought this new goalkeeper in as well. I think he's from Holland, Netherlands. They sold Caicedo for big money, and they brought in some good replacements. So they're a club where they'll sell their top talent for big money, and they'll replace them with good talent. Like you got Ferguson as well. He looks like a real good player. Matoma. You've got Pascal Gross. You've got Solly March. You've got Welbeck rolling back the years. So they've got a decent team. I think the only issue is that when they play in Europe and they play on a Thursday and they have to play on a Sunday or Monday, how they got the squad capacity to cope with, as Matthew said, to cope with both teams. Time will tell, but I think Brighton will do well this season again. I don't think that was just a one-off game. I don't think they'll get beaten like that again.
I mean, considering in the calendar year, they lost Caicedo, Trossard, and McAllister.
That's a lot.
And the goalkeeper as well,
and
Sanchez.
Within the calendar year, and they're still pretty much on top half of the table. It credit to them. It speaks that they've done really, really well. So, yeah.
That's the thing. You just got to keep going, haven't you?
Definitely.
But I guess we'll go on to Arsenal-Bournemouth now. A nice little 4-0 away win. Goals spread across the front, and the first goal for that man, Kai Havertz, a penalty given to him by the captain after discussion with Jesus, which was quite nice. I guess for you, Craig, are you happy that Havertz is now off the mark? Do you think that slowly will take away the pressure from him, from fans, or do you think there's still more for him to do?
I feel like that was very nice of the team to do that for him, to give him a confidence boost. I remember when Arsenal signed Nicolas Pepe a couple of seasons ago. I remember against Aston Villa when Aubameyang was the captain and he gave Pepe to take the penalty to score the goal, and they kind of boosted his confidence a little bit. So I feel like with Havertz, like I can see he's a confident player. He's not a very confident guy. He's a confident player, so he needs confidence. I feel like that him getting that penalty and scoring it, very good penalty by the way, was very good for him confidence wise, and hopefully he can kick on from there. I still think we don't know his best position yet. We're playing him as a number 8. I don't know what. I'll be honest, I don't know what his best position is yet. And I feel like once we get used to this, get used to the Arsenal system, he only can get better. If he gets worse than when he was at Chelsea, then
That's true. I guess for you, Matthew, looking at how he's progressing, obviously you've seen a lot of the games. You're used to the performances from him. Do you think you're starting to see like an upturn in his performances, or do you think it's still the same old Havertz that you knew from Chelsea days?
I think, like Craig said, this penalty will do him good. It's gonna be a lot that's gonna help him thrive and figure out his place in this team. The trouble is with him is that with all the talent you have around him, he has a tendency to kind of fade to back in really, really good games. So if you look at, say, like the Champions League game, for example, when we won, yes, he got the goal, but largely his contribution was overlapped by other players, like with likes of Kante, absolute machine in that game, despite the fact that he scored the goal. It's you kind of have to feel bad for him because in the ways because it's that for all what he does, someone is always gonna get the shadow or the credit ahead of him. He will get better, much to my annoyance. He will. I feel more confident about him getting better than Mount getting better because he's in the team. He's in the team right because he's in the team right now, but doesn't know where they're going and what back-to-back losses, back-to-back poor performances. You know, and that's despite the fact that Mount was pretty good in the last game, whereas Havertz is still in a team that's more likely to be succeeding in the ascendancy. You know, apart from last night, you haven't lost a game in the league at least. You're still going in the right direction. The moment he thinks out, I mean, he's a versatile player. He just needs to figure out what place. He's a jack of all trades, but he's going to be eventually be a master of none in that team. But he's in a better place, and yeah, it's hard to fathom what he's doing because everyone else around him is just doing so good, but. Give him. He's also unlearning four managers worth of training from Lampard twice, Tuchel, Potter, and I think the guy we had in the interim as well. So he's unlearning a lot of that to learning a brand new system with Mykhailo. Give it time, he will get there because I know how good he can be when he's on it. We just didn't see it enough in a Chelsea shirt.
I guess on the final note on that point on Kai Havertz, Craig, do you think the fan base will give him the time that he needs to settle? Do you think? Because of the price we paid for him and what other transfer targets have gone for, do you think the patience of fans will run out sooner than maybe he needs?
Well, I thought as long as Arsenal winning, the fans will be on his side. As soon as Arsenal start losing a couple of games, they'll turn against him.
Scapegoat.
It will happen. As long as Arsenal winning matches and doing well, and he's contributing to the team and trying to do something, the fans will give him a bit more time. They'll give him time. But if we get a couple of defeats here and there and things are not going his way, I can see the fans turning. Like yesterday, a lot of fans, when I was reading online, were turning against and say, Havertz waste the money. Why do we buy this player? Why this? Why that? Well, the guy just came to your club. Give him time. I know he's been in England before, but it's a new club. Like you have to support your players. As much as he might frustrate fans, he's still our player. We paid 65 million for him, so you have to give him that confidence boost, and you know what I mean.
Scapegoat.
Yeah,
he's a very good scapegoat.
I'm hoping that it doesn't turn into one of the transfer mistakes on the club. We haven't had them in a while, but I hope it's not another one of those expensive players we bought and it's just not worth the money. But I mean, around that, you know, you look at what we had performances-wise, you know, the star man, Saka gets another goal, Ødegaard stepped up, Ben White got one to close it out of an Ødegaard assist. How important do you think it is that the key players, like, you know, those three that I mentioned, also Jesus, who chipped in with a goal the other day, how important it is for them to keep maintaining that record, like what they did last year and building on it for the club to hit its targets for this year, Craig?
I feel like this season we still haven't hit the heights. This is our first game this season, or second game this season, one in the Champions League, one in the Premier League. We scored 4 goals. We still haven't unleashed the Arsenal of last season yet. We still, like, start of the season we won 2-1 against Forest. The next game, Palace 1-0. The next game, I think it was United. United we won 3-1. So we're still not the same Arsenal that we were last season. So once we get that flowing football again and scoring goals for fun, I think the players will get goals for fun. We've still got Martinelli to come back. He bagged a lot of goals for us last season. We've still got Trossard when he's 100% fit. He got a lot of assists for us last season. So we need to get more goals from the team and play more entertaining football.
Yeah, that's going to be important. You need the goals, you need the entertainment. And I guess the big thing now is, we've got the game coming up at the weekend against Man City. Obviously, Saka got a knock, so we're not sure if he's going to be available. Partey is back in full training. How important is it going to be for the team to start strong? And who would be your starting 11 for Arsenal against Man City?
Goal, Raya, right back, Ben White, Gabriel, Saliba, Shevchenko. That's the 4. Midfield, for Declan Rice, 100% has to start. If Partey had played yesterday, I'd rather him and Partey in that middle, because I feel like just to muscle off the midfield, to keep it nice and solid. I'll just start Partey, but most likely going to start Fabio Vieira or Havertz might start. Odegaard, obviously captain. On the right wing, if Saka's fit, you start Saka.
Yeah.
Left wing, Trossard if he's fit, and up front Jesus. I wouldn't start Nketiah in this game because we need the goals in the game, and I don't think Nketiah since he's got his England call up, Nketiah has not scored and assisted in a game at all. Since the England call up, he hasn't done it. He hasn't I don't know if it's confidence or what. He hasn't scored a goal or anything. So I'll keep him on the bench and I'll start Jesus with Trossard, or if Martinelli's fit, I'll put Martinelli on the bench and then bring him on. But if Saka's not fit, then I'll start Nelson on the right and then put Trossard on the left and then Jesus up top.
What about you, Matthew? What would you do, the team?
Only change I would make. Are you home or away?
We're at home.
The only change I would make is the man between the sticks.
Really?
Just because he's a big game player and he's a stirrer. And the reason I'm saying this right now, because if you look at Man City's form of late, they've lost the last 2 games. They lost against Wolves, they lost against Newcastle. You're on your point ahead. They're on your point ahead of you guys. He's going to be big for you playing at home at the Emirates. For you, if you're going to get a scalp, this is the best opportunity right now for you to get a scalp on them. And when I say a scalp, I mean a win. I think they're there for the taking at the moment. I don't think they're in massive form. They play, as I'm recording, tonight. So I would put in the rest of the team I'm happy with. But I'd put in Ramsdale just to keep that crowd going because he's a good stirrer. And I think in times like this, you need that extra bit of something in the team. So I'll put Ramsdale on the sticks just because Raya's done good. Raya's done good in what he's shown. He's definitely not going to be one that's just going to be there for cup games. But I think for this big one, this is your best chance of overtaking City and going maybe on a little mini run, bar the Chelsea game, obviously. So, we're going to do you a favour, so you can do us a favour. So, I see any change I'll make. Honestly, I see any change I'll make.
It'll be interesting to see what the club does. I guess just a final thing on Arsenal, just before we go on to some sort of Manchester United. We had the game in midweek, Champions League match. Didn't really go the way we wanted. Started off nice, good play, or good win back from Saka. Played through Jesus. Really good composed finish. The kind of stuff we should have done against Tottenham, but, we forgive you. And then it all kind of didn't really go to plan. We were very comfortable, and then one mistake or a move we've done from training ground, which was intercepted. They got the equaliser, and then we just didn't really turn the pressure up on them. Didn't make the most of our chances that we created, and then they got the winner. And then we almost got a late equaliser, but for some great defending by them and just a mistimed header. I guess for you, Craig, are you concerned about that performance from the team more so than just the result? And do you think that hangover might carry on to the weekend, or do you think it should be forgotten by now?
I was concerned because when I checked the game yesterday, we were 1-0 up, and normally when we go 1-0 up, we'll get another goal. The best performance Arsenal done this season, I'll be honest with you, was the PSV game. I watched the game. We destroyed them, absolutely destroyed them. When we scored the first goal, we went for the second, went for the third, went for the fourth. Gave them no time to get them to equalise or anything. And PSV are very dangerous on the ball. They've got a good young player called Nathan Lang. They had Desk as well, the American right back, or he's playing left back that game. They got some good players at PSV. And the way how we dominated them, destroyed them at the Emirates was that's the Arsenal I remember from years go by in the Champions League, where to destroy teams. I thought yesterday we got complacent. We scored the first goal. Instead of us going to get 2 or 3 or 4, we sat back, and then Raya made a mistake, tried to kick the ball out, and it was one of them ones that got intercepted and they scored from it. The winning goal was a very good goal. The way how he hit it, the way he hit the wall, hit across it, and the way it just swerved, it just went whoosh.
Wicked game.
It was a wicked shot.
Really good goal.
No keeper would have saved that. I'm sorry, no keeper would have saved that shot. So it's just individual errors. I think maybe Saliba could have done more to stop the guy controlling the ball. That wide guy controlled the ball in his chest and then played it to him and he scored that chance. Maybe if Saliba had been more engaged in more and blocked him from taking the chest on the ball, then maybe we could have avoided that goal. So, but it was still, it's our first season in Europe for 6 years.
Champions League anyway.
Yeah, it's a long time maybe in the Champions League. So we're still learning. The difference in the Champions League and the Premier League is that in Europe, teams will punish you. You make one mistake, they'll punish you. It's not like in the Premier League where you can make maybe one
get
mistake.
flattered for it,
You make one mistake, you might get away with it. In Europe, they got the elite of the elite play in Europe. So that's where you have to be careful. Imagine you playing a knockout round, they did that mistake like yesterday, we 1-0 up and we go and see 2 goals like against a Bayern or something like that.
That's
Play
it.
against a Harry Kane who's going to be hungry to score
Be
against us.
relishing going to Arsenal.
That'll be 4-5-0 down in the first leg. So we have to learn from our mistakes on Sunday. And Sunday's a big game. We go and win again. I think the thing is on Sunday, Arteta will drill it into the players and train the next couple of days. This is the most important game of the season. They beat us to the title last season. We have to show them that who's boss at our own ground and go for the win. Revenge.
That's the big thing. We've got to show them like we've learned a lot and that we're ready. You know, last year we came close, fell apart at the end, but we need to show them that we've learned the lessons and we've made the necessary steps. And one team that we know right now are not learning lessons or making necessary steps is Manchester United. It's back to back defeats for them. It's like a Drake song, but just without the fun part. Matthew, what do you think is going on at Old Trafford and where do you think this is all going wrong?
Their mentality is in the bin, and you'd never think you'd say that about a Manchester United with such a strong identity, a strong mentality of going to go out there and to win and to fight into the last man. This team look, for all the talent that they have, for all that's at their disposal, they look defeated sometimes from the moment they kick a ball. They were so poor against Crystal Palace. So poor watching the highlights. That goal is just... And it just seems to be like is it the players? Is it the manager? You know, it's a funny case of battle who they want to point the blame at. You know, Onana is a shadow of the player he was at Inter Milan, and considering that David De Gea, I think they got the Golden Glove last year,
He did,
and they just shipped him out like that, and they've got this.
He's still a free agent.
He's still a free agent. He's still a free agent. That's all we're saying. Onana, again, exciting prospect, and he comes in between the Man United sticks, and it all goes to absolute pot. I don't think he's had one very convincing performance in a Man United jersey. And again, a lot of their players who need to be firing aren't. Sterling isn't firing. Mount, for all the good performances he tries to get, can't seem to get a look in. Bruno Fernandes, I don't know, just isn't a very good leader. There's a whole Maguire fiasco. Casemiro plays one good game and has 3 game suspension. Varane is a shadow of himself and being at Real Madrid. It's just, I mean, and then you got who was it? Is it they're on suspension. One got suspended on the bench. Who was it again? He was suspended. And I think he's only recently Anthony. He's only recently come back from a little mini suspension. There's just all the turmoil has now spread onto the pitch from top to bottom, from the Glazers to Ten Hag to the players and everything. And they just seem to get themselves into a bit of a rut. The only very shining glimmer of hope they have is that Højlund.
He looks good.
He is a glimmer of hope, and he looks absolutely dangerous. Got 2 great goals in their Champions League game. It looks like a very really good talent, but if they can't get it together, he will not be there for long. He will go somewhere else. He's still young. A lot of him build him as Haaland 2.0. He will not be there for long if they can't get it together. But something is rotten at this club, and for all the talent they get in, for all the talent they get rid of, they just can't seem to get it right. And how are they playing Amrabat? They're playing him, who had a stellar World Cup, and he looks bang average in a Man United shirt. Partly now he's playing in the wrong bloody position. Like, what is going on? I thought we had problems, and we do have problems, but them.
I'm just going to go through the first 10 games of this season. This is in all competitions. So we're starting off with the earliest game. So they started off the season with a 1-0 victory against Wolves.
They should have lost that as well.
And then they lost 2-0 to Spurs away. Then they beat Nottingham Forest at home in the league, 3-2. Lost to Arsenal away, 3-1. And then they lost 3-1 at home to Brighton. Then got beat 4-3 Bayern Munich in Champions League. Beat Burnley 1-0 away. Beat Crystal Palace 3-0 away, and then lost to Palace 1-0. So they beat Palace in the EFL Cup, lost to Palace at home in the league in the following fixture, and then got beaten again at home to Galatasaray in the following fixture. So it's just a poor run of results for them. They're still poor. 2 defeats in Europe. So the Europa League is calling them, unless they can turn it around and fast. But for you, Craig, like, where do you see a solution coming from Manchester United? What do they need to do?
Shambles. The club's in a big shambles. I feel it comes down to the owners. The club are looking to sell the club in the summer. The owners looking to sell the club in the summer. I feel like from the whole club, from the boardroom to the they got Ten Hag in last summer, and the players he wanted to buy, he never got the players he wanted, so they have to buy second best. Like he wanted to get he wanted to get somebody and he didn't get them, and he had to get somebody else. And some of the signings he's made, like Anthony, for example, all that money, he hasn't done anything for them to say he wanted that money. You got like Rashford had a great season for them last season. He got 30 plus goals in all competitions.
Now,
where is he this season? It's non-existent.
Where is he now?
They bought Højlund in the summer for 72 million. He looks a very good buy. But as Matthew said, he might leave in the future if they're not making it ambitious. I feel like what happened, what Cristiano Ronaldo said in an interview about the club when he left the club the first time, said that nothing has changed since he left the first time. That was worrying signs for me, because he left the club in 2009 and he came back to the club in 2000. When did he come to the club? 2020?
I think it's 2022 he came back.
No, 2020. 21.
21, yeah, he came back.
And he came back, and how many years he left from the club? He won Champions League, he won 5 Champions League after he left the club. And he came back to the club and realised the same people are still there. The training ground's not changed. The stadium's not been upgraded. Nothing's the same. Everything's still the same.
Falling apart, man.
It's falling apart.
And the noisy neighbours have taken over.
And Man City Man City won the treble last season. Yeah. You would think Man United fans would feel, and you got some Man United fans as well. I'm going to call them out as well. Yeah, some Man United fans are happy that Arsenal didn't win the title last season, but they'd rather make their rival win the treble. Some of them were saying online, I hate Arsenal, so I'd rather Man City win the league. Well, they won the treble. What else? They win it again. How do you feel about that? I know me as an Arsenal fan, it would hurt me to see Tottenham win the treble. I would want Tottenham to win the treble.
Tottenham could never win a treble.
But I would want them to.
It would never happen.
As an Arsenal fan, it wouldn't have stayed well with me. So for my United fan wanting their rivals to win trophies, like
apathy. It's just absolute apathy. They've given up. They've actually given up. You know, you notice how like quiet they are now. You know, after they thought it was the second coming with a little run last year going towards the title, it was never going to happen. And you know, again, I said it once, I said it again. They've got a lot of good shirt fillers. That's it. They've got shirt sellers. Mount will sell shirts. Sancho, for always going around, will sell shirts. Anthony will sell shirts. You know, they bought in Ronaldo for a feel good. He'll sell shirts. You know, Varane, World Cup winner, Champions League winner. Same with Casemiro, Champions League winner, serial winner. They will sell shirts. They look good in the Man United shirt, but it doesn't matter if they can't perform on the pitch. So their problems are, you know, they're I'm sure their money's great, but I don't know, got the Carabao Cup last year, but everything else for a club like that, there's money for what you want. They should be challenging for more. You really should be challenging for more, and at the moment, it ain't working.
I agree. It's very, very concerning for them. For us, not so much. But you want to see a strong league, and a strong league requires all the big teams to be firing on all cylinders. So Man United need to figure it out fast, because if you don't, we all laughed at Chelsea last season. You're not far off joining them. You are not far off joining them. Right now, looking at the Premier League table, when it comes up, you're not far off. You might think you're okay. You are currently sitting in 10th on 9 points.
Point ahead of us.
A point ahead of Chelsea on 8, which is embarrassing to say at this point in the table. But the point is this: Sheffield United have 1, Bournemouth have 3 points, and Burnley have 4 points. If you guys don't carry on picking up points, them 3 down there will look a lot closer to you than you want. And you don't want that at all.
Believe me,
that's what I'm saying.
You don't.
So you got to figure it out, because this is your Manchester United. That means something. Your next game is Newcastle. No, sorry, that's West Ham. Your next game you've got is Brentford at home. So I'm expecting you guys to figure it out and turn things around. But let's end on one last note. We've also got, you know, the top 4 as it currently stands. You've got Man City first. Tottenham are in second, level on points with Arsenal, but just goal difference is slightly better. And then Liverpool are in 4th position. Speaking of Liverpool, got robbed at the weekend against Tottenham. I think with VAR, we've talked about it a lot on the podcast. We're a bit tired of talking about VAR. And I think this situation has just proven how inept the refereeing system is. They were aware of the mistake they made because of misunderstanding, poor communication, and yet they weren't able to fix it because the game had continued and there's nothing they could do. But they've cost Liverpool a goal. They might have actually won that game if that goal was given at the time. Mm-hmm. We'll never know now. But you cost Liverpool a vital, potentially 1 point, maybe 3 points. For you, Matthew, do you think after and I know Liverpool have been asking for a rematch, but that's never going to happen because if you're going to replay that game, we have to replay Arsenal Brentford of last season when Tony's goal was given offside.
Yeah.
Do you think now there needs to be structural changes in how the referees in this country are done?
Well, it's going to have to be because it's not getting better. For anything, it's getting worse. For all the years we've had it, from the start, how many seasons ago to where we are now, the one thing that we haven't said is that it's improved. For one, yes, it takes a sting out of the game when they initially score a goal. You're looking around for the referee. But what you want is for them to make actually just confident, efficient decisions. And there was nothing confident and nothing efficient about officiating there at all. It makes us look like a bit of a laughing stock because we're the one of the leagues that was crying out for this for so long, only for the human element to keep getting it wrong every single time. And I go back to this, other sports make it work seamlessly. It takes nothing out of the game. The Rugby World Cup is on right now in France. As far as I know, there's been no controversies in any games I've heard of or seen, and it runs through seamlessly. That's nothing away from the game. Why not in the biggest sport in the world can we not make it in the biggest, probably quite possibly the biggest league in the world, make it so that we don't make our referees look like a joke? Look at social media after the game. They were getting absolutely hounded. A lot of referees have quit because of it. A lot of referees can't go back because of it.
It's true.
And it's all because they just can't get it right. And correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't the referee a Spurs fan?
I don't know about that.
Well, a lot of people are saying that. It's like, well, first of all, why would you do that? Why would you? I mean, they're going to have to start. I still believe that they do it in cricket, we do it in NFL, we do it in rugby. They need to have some kind of vocal communication to the fans from the stadium about what's going on. Include them in it so you put at ease of what's going on. You're not going to please all the fans, particularly the home ones for that, but at least you know where you stand and the clubs know where they stand. And better still, it makes the play more efficient. You're losing 30 seconds as opposed to 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Look at was it the Aston Villa penalty incident against Crystal Palace a couple of weeks ago, which was, we all knew what it was, took about 5 minutes of our time away. That don't need to happen. You could take it down to about a minute. But I don't know quite, apart from that solution right there, and may possibly doing more on the screen time sort of thing, more needs to be done to make it work. The technology's there, we're going to have it. It's not going anywhere. I don't think it should. But our referees have just got to get better. They've got to be more efficient. They've got to be more professional and just have better communication, and things like this don't happen. You know what I mean? It's a bit of a joke, man. It's a bit of a joke.
Yeah, it definitely needs to be resolved then quickly because it just can't stay the way it currently is. It's not fair and it just doesn't reflect well on the Premier League as a product. I guess for you, Craig, as our closing thought on this, what do you think needs to be done now in light of everything that's come out and what we now understand about what happened in that game?
Not going to replay the game. Liverpool want the game to replay. It's not going to happen. So I feel like the referees need to do more training. All of them. All the referees in the Premier League, even the good ones, need more training on this VAR thing because it's pathetic. English Premier League is one of the best leagues in the world. Other leagues have got the same VAR like us, and there's no controversy in other leagues in Europe. So why has the Premier League got so many controversial issues with the VAR, and other leagues in Europe don't have any issues with it? It's because the referees are not being educated properly, or they're not willing to learn better how to get things done properly. So the only way you can do it is through proper training, do the training properly, make sure they're understanding and make sure it's in their brain that they know to do the right thing so there's no issues, because it's going to continue, that could have been Arsenal against Tottenham that could have happened to. We'd have been fuming. That could have been a Chelsea game and you'd be fuming. So we don't want it to happen to Liverpool. We don't want it to happen to our club either. So they have to get it right. Imagine on Sunday a VAR mistake and City win the game when we could have won the game because they did a mistake. or when you play Burnley get a lucky goal that should have been offside, and you be fuming. You'll be
Absolutely,
fuming.
absolutely.
So there has to be a way how they need to just find a way how to learn the VAR system better, because that goal was a legit goal. I watched it so many times now.
So, yeah, it was
a legit goal. It was
nothing
not
wrong with it.
offside. If they did the proper VAR check properly, not this, it's offside and then move on with the game. Normally they do the replays and they say, okay, they put the line there, onside or offside. The green line will say onside.
The thing is, they checked it. The problem is they thought that the referee had given a goal. That's why they said check complete, all clear. He thought he gave us a goal.
Yeah.
When they realised it was a free kick, that's when they should have said, hold on, review, extra review needed. They didn't say, what they were saying is, actually, I made a mistake. It's too late. We can't do anything about it. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Like they should have said to him, can we just clarify? Are you giving us a goal or offside? Because if you're saying check complete, the referee thinks, well, okay, I gave offside. You're saying it's fine.
Yeah.
And the VAR thought he gave it as a goal. It's fine. Like, that's stupid. So that's where they need to do better. And that's where they need to have processes where if that happens in the future, they can go back to, hold on, let's just pull it back a second. There's a mistake here. Actually, that was a goal, not offside.
Because ultimately the referee still has overall authority.
And in fact, the VAR should have said, check complete, goal, not offside.
Done.
The referee will be like, say it again, goal. Oh, goal. Okay. Goal. Done. But you just said check complete. What does that mean? It doesn't mean anything. So
amateur.
That
Sounds so amateur.
But the Liverpool fans were fuming. I was watching that interview. They were fuming.
Too right. It was like you said.
I don't blame them. I'll be fuming with them as well, because there's no way Tottenham deserve to win that game.
But they're not angry at Tottenham. They're angry at the officials.
That's what I mean. The officials. They're
angry at.
If that goal had gone in, it would have been a different game. We would have seen what would have happened. And then obviously Liverpool had 2 players sent off as well. So, but other than that, the referee spoiled the game, and VAR spoiled the game. So
Gotta do more, man. Honestly,
gotta do more.
We'll
see. I mean, I think these controversies definitely kind of highlight how much there's work to be done, and VAR can and needs to be better. And we're hoping that this coming weekend we have no more VAR controversies, because if we do, we'll be back here talking about it again. But that's us signing out. Next week we'll review some very exciting games, some good results, and we'll see if Chelsea can make it 3 on the bounce in results in all competitions. Can Arsenal finally slay the dragon of Man City in a game in the Premier League? Because we've done it in the pre-season Super Cup, Community Shield, where we beat them. But can we do it in the league now and really kind of put this to bed? And will Man United get a win after a bad run of games? Will they turn it around? Will Liverpool vanquish Everton? Who knows? Well, that's not a game for a couple more weeks. But who knows what's going to happen in the Premier League? They got Brighton this weekend. Let's see how they do. Will Brighton bounce back from Aston Villa defeat, or will Liverpool continue on their march up the table? And will Spurs put Luton to the sword? We'll find out in next week's episode of One Kick from Glory. This is us signing out. Peace.
Peace.